Chroma Zone Journey to Europa is a space survival game where we are on a ship on our journey from Earth to Europa because Earth has been taken over by biters. Now, the ship has both a computer section and rooms for the humans to do actions. The human team is wearing blue glasses and the computer team is wearing red glasses, and these change how you see the board and the astronauts on board. And based on what you see, you may either want to collaborate with the other team, or maybe you decide we have to do our own thing to survive. I'm Charlie McCarron, the designer of Chroma Zone, and before I teach you how to play, I wanted to show you how to put on these stylish glasses. So put them over your head, and I like to have the string on the inside so that can be tightened, and you can keep the plastic a little bit off your face. And if you're wearing actual glasses, you can either put this underneath your glasses or over the top. First, let me show you some of the hidden information that each team is seeing. On the astronauts here, the computer can see a number if it's a human or a C if it's a cyborg. Likewise, they can't see anything at the bottom of the card here, but the humans can see their emotional responses to stress. We have scream, bite, and panic. And likewise, they can't tell who cyborgs are. So the wind conditions are based on where the ship lands. Is it going to make it all the way to Europa, or will it travel back to Earth because we found vaccines? Or will it be sent to the sun by the computer team because they were instructed to abort the mission? If the ship lands in Europa, the human team will win if there's more humans out in the ship than cyborgs. And the computer team will win if there's more cyborgs than biters. And like I showed you, only the humans can see bite on the astronaut cards. The biters are the infected ones that have been taking over Earth, but they did say that if we go back to Earth with vaccines, then we might be okay. So the human team will win on Earth if there's more human vaccines than human biters, and the computer team will win if there's more cyborg vaccines than cyborg biters. And I'll show you how to find the vaccines. And finally, in the sun, the humans just lose. But the computer might win if the biters have taken over the ship and there's more of them than humans. I've set up the board, and now we're ready to play. The computer team and human team work a little differently. So first I'm going to just show you how a human team works, and then we'll get to the computer actions in the middle. So the humans start the game by drawing an event card. The ship moves 2 spaces towards the destination, which currently it's in the zone of Europa, so we're going to move 2 spaces here. And then we immediately hit a feed humans icon. The computer's going to look around and tell us there's 7 humans, which means we know there's only 1 cyborg right now. We're going to have to feed 7 humans right away. We move the marker down to 0, and because we didn't feed 2 of those humans, the computer will have to kill 2 humans off. So maybe the computer picks this human and this human. They go to the dead pile. Luckily, on our event card here, we have a passive bonus until the next event, which is gain double food when growing. Likewise, there's a little bonus if we can get 2 1s on dice in both the biodome and forensics over here. If we succeed, we'll gain energy and food, and if we fail, we'll lose an energy and food. On our first turn as a human, we're going to need some food. You get to do 1 action during your turn and 1 move for free of any astronaut. So why don't we take one of these astronauts over here and move them into the biodome. I could have moved any of them in there, but I'm going to pick that one because I'm seeing, and I'll simulate this, I'm seeing that astronaut right there has an ability of Snoop. That's going to reveal some information to us. But we'll get to that in a minute. So what we do to take this biodome action, which is grow food, we roll one die per astronaut in there. And we see that that was an absolutely terrible roll. We got all zeros. So all these zeros are going into this observation zone. This is where the computer is going to be watching to see how we did as humans. And if there's lots of zeros out there, they're going to be doing these more nefarious actions. If there's more ones, they'll do things that are more helpful for the humans. So in this case, we didn't get any bonuses from the dice. If they were ones, they would have added to our total of amount of food we gain. And instead, the computer is just going to be telling us what's the highest number of any of our astronauts here. They're kind of like the room leader. And the computer will say, there's a 2 out there. Okay, so that means we're going to be gaining 2 food. But because of our event that lets us grow double, we're going to get up to 4 food. So that will keep us safe for a little bit here. Now you'll notice that the dice have both orange and yellow sides. This is information only the humans know. They can tell the difference, but the computer team cannot tell the difference. This represents stress level when humans are taking actions. If there's more orange, they're going to stress out the room more easily. And because we've rolled so terribly here, they're all orange. Now if there's 2 or more orange in one room, this whole room will stress out. So let's see what happens. We have 3 different abilities that we're going to have to resolve. There's Scream, Bite, and Snoop. Scream would bring an astronaut from both adjacent rooms into that room. Snoop will let us flip one over, and Bite will kill one of them. So as a human, maybe we choose to do Snoop first because we want to figure out, is one of these a cyborg? So let's check on our biter here. And no, it's actually a human. So maybe we don't want to get rid of that biter quite yet because we do like having humans on board. So with our other stress action of bite, why don't we bite the screamers so they don't bring more people over here? So that kills this one. Now we switch over to the computer turn. The computer is going to be using these action tokens, and the number of actions you get is based on the energy level of the ship. So as the energy goes up, again from completing these goals, you'll gain more actions. But to start, we're going to use just 2 actions, and you can place them on any of the red spaces you see. We leave the dice out there because the computer can use those dice to power up their actions. We can also go down here and do some deep learning of flipping one of these actions over to prepare it for our next turn. Or we can activate Cyborgs. And why don't we do that action first? Because it's the most similar to a human turn. When you activate a cyborg, choose a room with any number of cyborgs in it and do the room action. And we know that there's one cyborg right there. So we're going to do the biodome action again because we want to keep this place alive. So I roll one die, And hey, I actually rolled a little better than the humans. So I'm going to add that 1 to the highest number here of a cyborg, which is actually 1. The cyborg number is based on this track as well, and they can be increased or decreased. So we do get 2 food, and again, we're gaining double food when growing. The room does stress again, and that's not great for us because we forgot that this biter is going to bite our cyborg. But maybe it was worth it just to keep the food level a little high. If we get the food up above 10, then we can start waking up more crew, which could be cyborgs as well. Now for our second action, we could choose to go either to this eyeball spot or this one. When we go there, we choose one of the 2 connected actions and do it times the number of dice there. So you can't see that right now, but if we were to simulate the red glasses, we could see ask a question and on the back side there too. So we would ask 3 questions of the humans, and I'll speed this up and just ask one, but I'll say, how many biters are out there? And then the human team answers 2 biters. So we know we'd be in a little bit of trouble if we got all the way to Europa because, well, there's no cyborgs for one. We need to outnumber the biters. The humans would win because they know there's only humans out there and the lone cyborg was killed. So one thing we could have done as the computer team is spend an energy to re-roll all 1s or 0s. And we can do this even on a human roll. So we could have made the humans re-roll all those 0s, which would have been a good idea so that we could try to achieve this goal up here. So let's talk about the other actions possible. Over here in forensics, you're going to be doing autopsies. If you find humans, you're going to gain 2 food, basically extra compost for the biodome. If you find cyborgs, you get to flip up one of these astronauts, just like we did over here. Essentially, you're learning how to detect cyborgs a little better. And over here, biter autopsies would let you move cubes in the lab. And as you can see, I've already set up the board with some starting random cubes over here in the lab. But what happens if you take a lab action? You get to draw DNA cubes from the bag, and you're placing them in these chromosome grids. You have to start with the leftmost one. And these cubes are a little special based on the glasses too. And they're going to look like different shades of lightness to each team. The computer sees, and they see these middle 2 as light, the pink and red. But the human team sees the pink and blue as lighter than red and black. And what you're trying to do is make connections of 4 light-looking cubes to you. And if you do so, say this was our draw, the computer team has 4 connected light cubes. They will have found a vaccine for cyborgs. And again, that's helping you if we decide to go back to Earth and there's more of these cyborg vaccines than there are cyborg biters. So that might be another route to go. And over here, finally in navigation, like I mentioned, you're going to be traveling the ship, and say we wanted to go to Earth, then we could start going back to Earth. Maybe we land in this zone here. That means when the next event card comes out, our destination is different. So we'll move 1 space towards Earth. On the next computer turn, they would regain their tokens to use for their turn. And the computer once again has all these different actions they can possibly do up here, the more dice get rolled out from the humans. Once the humans have used all their dice, though, say these are all assigned, on the next human turn, you flip a new event card, and those act as a timer on the game. So if we run out of this deck, we go into warp phase. And that means the ship has been programmed to just go all the way to the destination. But we shuffle this deck and draw one at a time. And we might land on some spaces that are less helpful, like those orange dots, for example. We'll stress every room that has an orange die in it. So this room and this room would stress. There are a couple other ways we might enter warp phase. So if the ship runs out of energy, we'll do a warp to the end. Or if there's no awake astronauts and they've all died or they're stuck in cryo, then we'll also enter warp phase. And the game is always going to end in one of these three destinations. And then you check to see if the conditions were met and if your team won or if both teams won. Thanks for playing Chroma Zone. Hope you enjoyed it. Charlie the Human signing off.